I'm about to go back into the Maryland Correctional Institution for Women to do a presentation for the inmates here. Just 4 years ago, I was an inmate here. It's good to be on this side. It's good to be on this side.
I heard about Tonier through the different partners that we have in the community. Her name is out there. She's known by a lot of people for the positive work that she's doing. And you wonder, how could someone be so happy and jovial and have gone through all of the trauma that she's gone through in her life?
Hello. Okay, so this is B building. This is the very last housing unit that I was in. Just 4 years ago, this is my home. In 1989, I remember the first time I was here. I went through the jail system, thefts, prostitution, possession of CDS, possession of open container. I'm coming into work at the National Association of State Mental Health Program Directors. My mother had a way of, when she hit you, she would hit you with a belt, and she would hold the strap of the belt so the buckles would hit you, and she would hit you in your face and your head with it. So we often got a lot of scars from the belt buckle.
And this is my mother's birthday.
This was in '94. At this point, I was homeless, sleeping beneath a bridge, eating out of a trash can. I couldn't go in anybody's house, including my mother's. He brought me down here to get high with it. He said, you know, you don't sleep in the bus stops no more. A lot of times I was beaten. These two houses were crack houses. Crunch down here and take a hit of crack right here. It's a very secure building. And this is my office. I have an office. I have scars. I have a scar right there. Right here I have, you can't really tell, 2 black eyes and a busted lip. Thank you for receiving us here in El Paso. My name is Laura Cain. I was molested, I was raped, I was beaten, I was raped, and I was like, this is how it's supposed to be for me. I am nothing, I'm never gonna amount to anything, and this is how it is. And I'll stay here, I'll die just like this. And I had become comfortable with that. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Cain here to NCIW. Good evening, ladies, and thank you so much for coming out and spending a little time with me tonight. I'm so thrilled to be here, to be able to stand in front of you beautiful, wonderful women and just help you to understand that it's all about you. So I'm telling you, I'm standing before you with 83 arrests and 66 convictions. They say I was going to spend the rest of my life in jail or die in the streets. And I tell you today, not so. Not so. And, you know, I end up with the drug addiction of 19 years. But you know what, I don't have to tell you about what it is that goes along with drug addiction, do I? I really don't. But what I want to tell you that it wasn't using drugs that was the problem. It was what happened to me as a child. My mother would entertain a lot of different men. She would be partying and you would hear her singing and, you know, laughing. But when the music stopped, I knew I was gonna start hearing the footsteps come towards our bedroom door. And at age 9, I positioned myself in front of the bedroom door to protect my brothers and sisters, but in the event, it made me available to the men. I brushed my teeth because I thought maybe I could brush away the smell of the men when they did the acts to my mouth. My mother's an alcoholic. She's always been an alcoholic, and sometimes she would leave the household 2 and 3 days at a time. Well, finally at age 11, somebody thought that something was truly wrong in our household. Because we were always looking out the windows, but we weren't allowed to play. My mother wouldn't allow us outside because she didn't want anyone to know what was going on in that apartment. Well, somebody thought that was wrong, and they called the Department of Social Services. And when social service came into the household and seen the conditions we were living in, they immediately removed us from that household and put us into foster care. Well, we ended up going to court. And I remember the court day. I was excited because I was seeing my brothers and sisters. And we were on a pew. And in the front, my mother was there. She was crying. She was real upset. And sitting beside her, y'all, I don't know where they found him at, was my father. He was sitting there. Not to say I'm going to take my kids home with me, but to give reasons why he wasn't. So 9 family members was allowed to choose each and every one of them. And I ended up with my cousin. And she was a nurturing and good person. This is my cousin. She's actually my second cousin, but when I was growing up, I always thought she was my aunt because the older generation was like aunts. But when I came into your household and you guys gave me so much love and you showed me how to take care of myself, and it was good time because I was getting up there in age, and because I never knew how to wash myself or wipe myself. Barbara didn't teach me that. So you taught me all of that stuff. I remember you being in the bathroom with me, showing me how to take care of my hygiene because I didn't know, and talking to me. Patiently talking to me. I wasn't used to being like a normal kid because the living situation I came out of. My mother came to the household where I was living, and she called me, Neen, because that's what my mother calls me. So I ran downstairs and I opened up the door and I ran and she hugged me and she said, I love you. I want you to come back and live with me. She told me she loved me, the words that I've been dying to hear from her.
I was crying because I knew I was going to miss you, but I was crying as you was going toward where you were going to stay and going back home to your mother. And I just kept praying on the inside that everything was going to be okay.
Within a week, she severely beat me in the middle of the street for trying to go to school. By then, she had 3 more kids. I realized she wanted a babysitter. She didn't want me back because she loved me. That's my mother over there in the white. I know, I'm just saying.
I know, you know, though. That can't.
I would desperately need my mother to love me. Sometimes I would be tired and don't want to get high, but she would want to get high, so I would go out and prostitute so she could get high, just so she could love me. I thought that I had to earn her love, and I thought if I go out and prostitute for some drugs, she'll be proud of me. And she would use the drugs and get mad because there's no more. But that's how I always ended up with her. How much?
Everything.
How much you need?
$1
Yeah.
Like that's good. I'm going to get a big one.
I know what you're going to get.
A big one. This thing will be going, because I'm going out like.
Well, I didn't know how to live without my mother because I knew I couldn't live with her. So I remember taking an overdose. I remember waking up in the emergency room. I remember when nobody asked me, what happened to you? I remember them telling me, you're going back home with your mother, and being terrified. So she came up with this great idea that one of her drinking buddies who thought I was cute, he was 24, I was a child basically, wanted to marry me. What was that? An opportunity to make my mother proud of me once again. I jumped on it. I'm walking down the aisle. She signed the papers. I didn't even have to be there because I was a minor. So I'm married. I'm married and my mother's living with me, and my husband would come home and he would do like this. And if it was dust on his finger, he wanted to know what was I doing all day long that I could not dust his house. Well, there was many beatings because I didn't dust his house. Age 19, somebody came to me and said, try this. And it was crack cocaine. I ain't get no beatings for dusting the house no more, because after one hit of crack, I cleaned my house. I went upstairs, cleaned the neighbor's house. I was outside washing everybody's cars. Shoot, I ain't get that beating no more. But you know what? Using crack cocaine introduced me to the criminal justice system.
Yes. Hi, give me a hug. I love you.
I'm going to go over here because they want to meet me.
Yeah.
Hi, sweetie. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Prostitute, and I lost 5 children to the system, but this time,
She was triggered. I was wondering, is it possible she could be in a group tomorrow just to...
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Did you just...
So you ladies was chosen because we think that your story, you collaborating with my story, and sitting here and just doing this focus group, just talking about where you've been, you know, and how things feel for you now and where you want to go.
My parents were heroin addicts. In the county where I'm from, there was heroin addiction. Foster care systems, psychiatric facilities. I went through all of that.
I never told my mother that my brother used to molest me. This is the first time I'm telling it now.
When my mother not just getting high, her friends get high. You know, people on her job get high. I mean, they get together and have party and get high.
My father would beat my mother all the time, so I saw that. And I ended up going through it myself. Every relationship I've ever had has been abusive. And if they're not abusive towards me, I'll be abusive towards them because I feel that's how they show me love. They don't care about me if they don't put their hands on me when I do something to hurt them.
My mother sacrificed me for the sake of keeping a man. And my first time being molested, I was 4 years old. My mother took my hand and gave it to him and told me, "You going with him to play with his nieces." But when we got to where we was going, wasn't nobody there but me and him. And I remember it being really, really dark. But when I came back, I felt different. And I remember looking at my mother, and it seemed like she didn't see anything wrong. And I remember when she took me in a room that night to put me to bed, I wonder why she didn't notice I didn't have on the same panties. Even now, I'm 37 years old, and I sleep with the covers tucked under me for security.
The 80% of our population has been traumatized. The trauma is the underlying reason and the basis that leads to the self-medication, the drug use, and then eventually landing in jail.
But I didn't know how not to come back. I didn't know how to stay clean. And something inside of me I didn't have the motivation to want to be sober. Because I went back to my reality. Homelessness, putting myself in harm's way, staying with people that was going to beat me and hurt me and stuff. Like, you know, so it was easy to just drink and drug. And unfortunately, it landed me right back here really quick.
I spent many, many years working in the state mental health system. I mean, I started volunteering when I was a kid, 14 years old, in the state hospitals. So I spent close to 15 years at the maximum security hospital at Clifton T. Perkins, and then I went on in the state of Maryland to be director for special populations, where I had the responsibility for services to people who were incarcerated, people who were homeless, people who had substance use issues. I've kind of done everything from the clinical work to the administrative work to now looking at promoting what my passion is, trauma-informed care and the understanding of trauma in the lives of those that we serve. Up to 90% of individuals who are in the public mental health system have been victims of trauma. About 85% we know from Department of Justice of girls in the juvenile justice systems have been the victims of early physical or sexual abuse. About 97% of homeless women who have mental health issues have been the victims of trauma while they were on the streets. 87% have been the victims of early childhood abuse. Over 50% of women in substance use programs report histories of incest. I mean, it's just universal.
And so this is the ACE study, matching in this very middle-class population. The population is exactly half women, half men by chance. 80% white, including Hispanic, 10% black, 10% Asian, 74% have been to college. In no way is this some dismissible group, that, yeah, well, maybe those people across town, etc. This is basically you and me. And what we found was extraordinary. A, the prevalence of these 10 categories, and B, the remarkable effect that they had 50 years later. 28% of the women have a history of childhood sexual abuse. I mean, who the hell would know that? In terms of injection drug use, a person exposed to any 4 of those categories was 1,350% more likely to become an injection drug user at some point later in life. If you go to ACE score 6, exposure to any 6 of those categories, you're wildly off the scale, because now it's a 4,600% increase in the likelihood that an ACE score 6 individual will become an injection drug user as compared to an ACE score 0 individual. I mean, the epidemiologists at the CDC told me, look, these are numbers that we see once in a lifetime as an epidemiologist, once in a career. So the numbers are of extraordinary magnitude. Hey. How are you? Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled. How was your travel in?
Pretty easy. And it was interesting coming in yesterday because the city's changed a great deal, in some ways for the better, in some ways for the worse. I met Laura Cain several weeks ago at a conference here in Baltimore when this sensible young woman came up and looked me dead in the eye and told me that she had an ACE score of 10, that she had experienced all 10 of the categories that I was talking about.
I don't spend a lot of time around my mother because she, like I said, she's still abusive.
Uh-huh.
But I go to, pay her bills and all, make sure she has food in the house and everything, because she's not only alcoholic now, she's a crack addict.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at her and I could see the sadness.
Mm-hmm.
She was sober, because she was just getting up in the morning. And I wanted so badly to reach out and hug her, but she wouldn't allow that. My mother won't allow us to do that. We're not even allowed to call her mom. We call her Barbara.
Any thoughts why?
I know. But I never really thought about it.
Well, maybe being called mother imposed a responsibility that she didn't feel up to.
Yeah, that's true. Well, this one particular day, I had made a deal with these 2 guys, and they had like a massive amount of crack. And I went to them. I said, well, they was trying to talk to me to get me to, do some sexual things for. I said, well, if you give me this amount of drugs, I'll do this, and this. Well, I thought I was a good negotiator, but I guess I wasn't, because when we were going behind this building, they started to talk among themselves, and when we got back there, they were saying, well, we're not going to give you anything, but you're still going to do this, and this. And after they did that, they beat me really bad and stomped me, spit on me. And when and they left, when I was able to get up and get around here, it was an officer. I'm standing against his car. And when he seen me, I was walking to him, and I was in a lot of pain. And when he seen me, he was like, Miss Cain, we've been looking for you. Because I had a failure to appear warrant out. I was trying to tell him that these 2 guys that's walking past us laughing at me just did this to me. He thought I was trying to, I guess he thought to run off, and he thought I was resisting. So when he grabbed me, he grabbed my arm and put it behind my back and threw me against the car, which cracked my nose open. I'm not angry with them, because people that do things like that, we talking about 2 guys that's caught up into that street world, and all they know is hurt and violence, because that's what they grew up with. And my only hope is that they're not doing that to anybody else, because they think it's okay, because they haven't acknowledged it, But I see people that hurt me all the time, that rape me. I see them all the time. And that was very small.
Tell me something about cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
What's the good part of it?
What's the good part about crack cocaine? It's a number. It absolutely, positively numbs out any feeling you have, only for a few seconds. That's why you got to keep doing it again and again. but there is no concern. So I mean, I used to take a hit of crack cocaine, and I used to get high on the fact that I had it in my hand. It didn't even get in my system yet, but because I know in the next few seconds I'm gonna be somewhere else, and I don't have to deal with reality. You know,
And effective treatment.
an effective treatment.
And that kind of forces the question, treatment of what?
Right. Exactly.
Which is kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people to hear.
Yeah.
And I think I had mentioned to you about crystal meth.
Right.
And how pretty much everybody knows that's the most commonly sold street drug in the country. And no one seems to know that the first prescription antidepressant medication introduced in 1940 was methamphetamine. And it was the main prescription antidepressant for the next 20 years.
That is amazing.
So does that mean something? Yeah, and then you get to think, well, it's a lot easier to say to somebody, my kid's on crystal meth because that damn drug dealer's in the neighborhood than it is to say my kid's buying antidepressants on the street.
Right.
I couldn't use drugs and alcohol because I was in jail. So I had to find something that help me cope, and that's what helped me cope. I would fight, I would argue, I would cuss, I would go on lock, and I'll get off lock, I'd do my lock time, and oh well, see y'all later, I'll be back.
And I would mutilate myself, my thighs, my neck had cuts, my arms. And it wasn't to kill myself, just to get the pain out. That was just a way to express the trauma. I felt helpless. I felt powerless. And being a woman in a powerless situation, it brought trauma. Because the trauma came from those situations where as though I was taken advantage of and felt powerless.
Did you mind, Christine, do you mind if I see where you manipulated yourself? Can I see that? Because I know you showed before. What do you use?
I would take and bust the glass out in my room and take the pieces of the glass and cut myself up, cut my neck. I would break the toilet seat, break the glass out in the doors and the windows. Or I take a stapler, I take the staplers out the bed. Or I took an eggshell one time. The hard on the eggshell, just to get that pain out. Being locked in that room, nobody want to deal with me. Nobody. It's the environment too. Trauma, your environment. Environment is like the core. It's like the setup for trauma. And being in that environment of being locked in that room, small as a bathroom behind that door, 24 hours a day, already having trauma issues, it didn't help at all.
In the detention center, I had suicide watches and because I wouldn't stay on my medications that the psychiatrist prescribed to me, they would put you in. They'll put you in segregation. Then they strip you down because you suicide. You nude. So you got the male officers coming around flashing the lights. Why you in here? Nude. No mattress, no clothes, and you have male officers that's coming in checking, laughing at you. Lay down, spread your legs open. And that was my experience with the county jail. Yeah, or they would do things like, you had a couple of them that would open up the slot and they would put their penis through so you can give them some head. And they would give you like a cigarette or something. So the men was able to do things without being watched. And they could hear the door open. So they would, put their penises through the little slots. Give them some head, I'll give you a cigarette. I'll give you some gum. Yeah. Oh, I know, girl, but it's just...
Give us some tissue.
And that was one of the earliest experiences of my incarceration. And you did things because, and I don't even know if it was because they was promising you cigarettes and nothing, but just because somebody was there for a moment, Thank you. So yeah, those are an experience of being in seclusion or the hole at the jail. That's all the things that came with that. And there wasn't any therapy. Because when the psychiatrist come, he just give you more and more medication.
Yeah. Why is there no trauma treatment? I think there's not a whole lot of people trained to do it. But it's, Then you have the non-believers and some of the old guard that still thinks, you can just give somebody a pill and it's all going to be better.
The issue of the public health paradox is really what forces one to recognize, if you wish to think seriously about this at all, that so-called trauma-informed care really becomes essential. Trauma-informed care is understanding how the thing that you're dealing with is the problem really is also someone's attempted solution to traumatic experiences in life, usually, not always, but usually in childhood, overwhelmingly unrecognized, further protected by deep shame, by secrecy, and by social taboos against exploring certain areas of human experience that are just terribly uncomfortable to explore.
Trauma-informed care is an entire culture shift. It takes traditional practice and flips it upside down. It isn't just teaching someone, what is trauma and why is it so important to address it. It really forces the system to totally redo and rethink all of their practice. And coercion and all of those practices, seclusion and restraint, coercive practices, level systems. I mean, there's so many practices that need to be flipped upside down.
Sleeping on the streets, underneath the bridge, eating out of a trash can, not even having the desire to live anymore. 5 years ago, I didn't think that anybody could help me.
And this is the bridge. This is the bridge. I'll go down and see. Hi. How y'all doing? Jay, we about to come down here and do some filming, so you might not want to be doing what you're doing. Home for so long, for so many years. I just remember just hearing the cars going over top of me. That would brought memories back because I would lay here and I could hear the car. And in a way that gave me some peace because you know that people is there, up there. It was like, you hear crickets, some people hear crickets at night and it gives them, it soothes them and put them into a peaceful sleep. Oh, hear the cars. It just was all just mud and sand and they put these bricks here, I guess to stop people from sleeping underneath it. And now they have nowhere to go. Really. But just a little less than 5 years ago, I was sleeping underneath here. I was taking a hit of crack, prostituting. When it comes a point where we feel safer underneath a bridge, a filthy, dirty bridge, where we're exposed to violence and rapes and everything, when it's safer out here, it's just a problem with that. There's a problem. I felt safer right here than anywhere else other than just in jail. And that's sad. For 19 years. What's today, Alandra?
We going to Mama. Oh my God.
Thanksgiving Day?
Yes.
What are you thankful for?
Mommy.
There you go, you did it. It won't turn it. See? You did it.
Let me try that over here. I did it! Come on. Let's go.
We're in Newtown 20 and it's in Annapolis, Maryland. It's one of the highest crime rate areas, project communities. It's where my sister Tanya lives. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Hey Charlie.
What's up? And I'm telling you now, something's always going to end up. Somebody's going to be mad at somebody, or it's going to be an argument.
This is my sister Tanya.
I know she's leaving us.
What you doing? Yeah, she's moving to Georgia. She's going down south.
Yes, I am, and I cannot wait. You guys want to go?
Yes,
Don't take them. I didn't ask you to take them out the pack.
Look, I can't take this. Is stressful.
Put it back in the pack. No, because nobody's eating them. No.
Hello, hi everybody. This is my sister Shannon. Y'all remember Shannon? If she's not ready, call her. If she's not ready, just come back here. And she will get her when we get her. All right. My mother is so intoxicated that she can't get it together. So it's just really a nice Thanksgiving day. Yeah, Landra!
Nothing but the homegrown. That made the day. That made that day, the chillin'. Hey,
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
happy Thanksgiving.
Whew. Here we go.
Who drank? Silence.
Who fell? Brandon?
Just every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every day.
I just want to make sure I had enough food for everyone to eat, get full, and take a plate if they want.
Jeffrey, don't want green. Bob got one right here.
You guys really? I'm a mannequin.
I'm right in there. Well, Neen makes salad, like y'all do with lettuce, tomatoes.
I make salad like I like. It has nothing to do with the color.
It's gross as shit.
I make salad.
Put that bottle down.
No, you. That's why I'm leaving.
Put that goddamn
I
bottle.
bet you that's why. Because of her is why I moved. Just because. And I love her to death. Anytime she ever need me, I'm gonna be there. But right now she don't need me. She wanna do her and be her. So I'm gonna go and do me.
I'm 59 years old. I'm tired of drinking. I drink a lot. I drink beer. Tired of it. When I leave alone, I only go to rehab because I just leave alone. I just drink beer, you know. I only know I drink. Right now, puzzled. But I want to stop. You know, I can stop. I'm a woman. I was so sorry. Gave me money, food stamp. You know, gave to me, Mom, come here with, hug me, kiss me. Only one to make me pregnant. I love all my kids. I got 10 daughters, I got 6 daughters and 4 kids.
I'm getting out of here.
And you know what? Not love all of them. But you know what? I would say they'll be the best mama. I was never the best mama in the wide world. I did my kids wrong. They got took from me. It's emotional. This is my son. Come here, baby. This is my youngest son. His name Monterey. I like him good.
How y'all doing?
I ain't never did anything for him. Come here.
Yeah, she did. She gave me life.
No. I just said so. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
Look at him. Ain't he handsome? Black handsome. Believe me, I love you, man.
I love you too.
I love you.
Stop it.
Barbara.
Look,
Yeah.
Look. And that's her daughter.
Yeah. It's cold out here.
Talk to me.
Huh?
Talk my coat.
I know it's
Okay,
Shannon's. Put it
anyway.
on. Got me saying you catch a cold.
Stop it.
Shut up.
No, I ain't.
Shut the fuck up.
Now you want me to shut up? You done just cut me out. I just told you that.
I know. There you go. Here.
Let the camera get that.
Go now. Bye. I can't stand that stomach, but you know what? I don't like him, but I love him. That motherfucker too smart. I'll tell you what. Want the red shopper. I don't like him, but I love him. Cause he's a smart bitch.
You ready to go home?
Can you just sit for a sister?
Yeah, nice day to you too.
Good night. And happy Thanksgiving to you. And you have a nice night.
Bye, baby. I love y'all. I love y'all. It's okay. I love her too. The warm.
Oh, that's okay. I gotta really sit down and think about how I'm gonna do that with my daughter being have to be picked up in the evening. I'm not gonna look. I'm just not gonna look. Maybe we should do a trauma training for the cab company. Here you go. All right.
Toni is an amazing woman, a passionate advocate, a great leader in the field, an amazing speaker. We've known each other for 5 years, back when I first met Toni, when she was at the Women's House of Correction in Jessup, and she was pregnant out to here. She now, as of yesterday, officially has become the team leader for the newly funded National Center for Trauma-Informed Care, which we couldn't be happier. Just a joy to be with, and when you hear her story, I think you're going to be absolutely as moved as I am every time I hear her as well. So for that, my friend, Laura Cain.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here in New York City. I'm down at Maryland Correctional Institution for Women for violation of parole, and I'm pregnant, and I'm terrified that I'm about to lose another child. And I remember running around and telling people about my fears. I don't want to lose my baby, and I had this baby. And they were telling me about this program called Tamar's Children. Well, they said, you know, it works on your trauma. I said, well, I don't know what that is, but I know I got it. And it works on your addiction. I said, well, that's a given. Your mental health, yep, I'm crazy. You recover and you keep your baby with you. Perfect program for me, right? I was keeping my baby. And the first thing that someone said to me when I got to this program, the first session I had, my therapist told me, everything that happened to you as a child happened to you, you didn't do to yourself. And I believed her. And we started to work. See, because you good folks, you know, substance abuse, even some judges, even parole and probation, try to help me, try to give me some tools on how to live. But you know, the good information was only surface. It couldn't get where it needed to get for me to get it rooted so I can build a foundation and grow from. So my belief system can change from I am nothing to I am somebody, and I can be anything I want in this world. It wasn't important. So you had to get it out of me to get the good information down there where it needed to be. My therapist, her first task was to help me to feel safe. Because without feeling safe, there was no healing for me. Everything that I needed, I was able to get from this program. I had someone to help me to understand parenthood. You know, helping me to form a secure attachment with my child. I didn't know how to be a mother. You know, I know how to give birth to a baby. And then she said, it's time to work on your children. No. I said, no. How do you heal from something that's still going on? Okay, my mother didn't love me as a child. She didn't show me love. Okay, that happened. That was then. I was raped, I was hurt, I was beat, I was raped, I was hurt, I was beat. Okay, that's happening no more. But my children are still living. They're still walking this earth somewhere, and I know nothing about them. How do you heal from that? And she said, you do, but not by yourself. So I had to talk about my daughter when she was only 10 days old, and when they came and they took her away from me and they put me in jail. And the way that my son looked when they grabbed him and he was crying, Mommy, don't let them take me. I had to remember that. I had to remember my son being picked up for the weekend and never brought back. And it was work. I'm exhausted. I've been on travel now for, it seems like 2 weeks straight, like maybe going home one day just to repack. I'm just ready to go home to my daughter now and hold her. I miss her a lot. And I've really been missing my children a lot lately. I guess, yeah, the holidays coming up. I always get like this near the holidays. You know, I do. I miss them so much. That'll never get better. It gets easier, but it will never get better. I've been so emotional lately, and I just miss them. I miss Keith, Brandon, Whitney, and Joshua. And it really began to bother me that I may never see them again. And that breaks my heart. And this is the 5th floor. This is the floor where I work. This is the Office of Technical Assistance, one of the units or departments from the National Association of State Mental Health Program Directors. And this is Boss Lady. This is my supervisor, Pat Shea. She's the Deputy Director for the Office of Technical Assistance.
I first met Tonier when I was doing volunteer work at a jail diversion program in Baltimore City. And I would go there every Monday and hold the babies. When I see her today giving a speech or even just attending to details in the office, and it's hard to even believe that this is the same person. It's really been an almost literal transformation.
I wasn't available, so they delayed Mother's Day for me to come out and speak. So that's why I stuck Oklahoma in for the 26th of June, and it's Lawton.
We're going to speak together in San Diego at the San Diego Children's Hospital Conference, which is an international meeting attracting about 2,000 people, literally from around the world, to a conference on child abuse. And I have no doubt that she will steal the show with the story of her life, and has this extraordinarily improbable change that occurred several years ago. I think she may have profound insights still to share.
And this is June. And as you can see, I'm about to go to Montana, leave there to go to New York City, then leave there to go to New York State, then to California, then to Washington State, Tacoma, Vancouver, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. Thank you.
Every place she goes, people are inspired. I mean, every place she goes, we get 25 emails, afterwards. It brings all the agencies together. Substance abuse, mental health, corrections, the legislature. So after that talk that she did the first day for transformation, the lieutenant governor called a session of the House and Senate of the legislature in Hawaii. She went and spoke to them. The head of the mental health agency has decided that he wants to take trauma-informed care not just to psychiatric hospitals, but to the general hospitals. And this all happened really as a result of Tony's going there and people listening to her message.
There are different evidence-based interventions that are out there that have been demonstrated to be effective at preventing child maltreatment and improving child and family functioning. The problem is that we are not a prevention-oriented society. We tend to be very reactive instead of proactive, much to the detriment of the children in our country. So we like to look at the emergency that's right at hand. And when it comes to funding, prevention programs are just sort of seen as fluff. If there's extra money left over, if we get a grant, then maybe we'll pay for prevention. But otherwise, we don't want to invest resources. It just doesn't make sense. It's like saying, we can't possibly spend money installing seat belts in cars because we have to spend all of our money over here stitching up people's foreheads. It simply doesn't make sense. And when we look at a person like Tonier, how much suffering would she, her mother, her siblings have avoided if appropriate supports were put in place for that family very early on?
For Landra, she lives in a home where she's being loved, where I own my own home. She's been given the opportunity to go to a private school where she'll get the best education. She's being hugged all the time and told that she's loved and worthwhile.
She will never know what it's like to be hungry or to wait for somebody to be able to get money to feed her. Treating my trauma totally broke that intergeneration curse. I'm told that she's conditioned by her environment. She adjusts to what she's learned. And if that's the case, then she will be able to give her children what she was given, so that curse has been broken. And we begin to look at a different cycle in our generation path from here on out.
Keep talking about it. Keep bringing it up. Keep talking about it. Because you're going to come across somebody that's going to listen. And you already have that person. Warden Shell is an amazing, amazing warden who's really care about her inmates, especially the ones that has been traumatized. So.
And everybody asks me what I want to do and what I want to become. I just want a normal life. Yeah. Just normal. Now, I don't want to be the superstar. Yeah. I don't want to be a teacher, nothing. I just want a normal life. I want a house. Whenever you said about your own home, that's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid, was to have my own home. And I tell myself, one day I am going to have a home. I'm going to have kids in a big backyard playing, and I'm going to be a wife and my mother. Just normal. I hate this life, and I don't know why it's so hard for me to get out of. I want to just forget it all. I don't want to remember anything.
What would you, Lisa?
I abused my own self. It came to the point in my life where I was so used to being abused that when no one was there to do it, I beat my own self up. I finished the job. I have this saying that nobody can kick your ass worse than you. And that learning to love yourself kind of gets on my nerves sometimes because I don't know where to begin with that. Where does the growing begin? Where does the healing begin? I have no idea. And I need to know. I need to know how to start.
Can I come closer to you? I don't know if you know this, but the healing already began for you. It started yesterday when you opened up to us and you said that you needed help. You asked for it. I can't imagine how it's going to begin for you the loss of your children, because everybody's different. But I do identify with it. I do know the feeling of loss, the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of darkness, the feeling of nobody's going to help me because I'm nothing. But I'm here, and you're somebody special, and I'm going to be there for you if you let me. Your process has begun, and I'm not going anywhere until you get through it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I need to help people. I need people to be able to grow and move in my direction, because a lot of people see me and automatically know that I did it and they can do it. When paramedics come to a house and somebody have a heart attack, they feel the pulse. And you know what? It could be faint. They could hardly hear. And you remember I did not have a pulse, but they get to working on that person, don't they? And they try to resuscitate that person. So why can't we do that for the people the trauma victims and the people that's suffering in substance abuse out there? Why can't we keep working to resuscitate their lives? Why can't we keep working at it? Why can't we work at it ourselves? 83 arrests and 66 convictions. 3 times down here and multiple times in the county jail. They said I was going to spend the rest of my life in jail and die. I wasn't going to amount to anything. Not so. Not so. It was so incredible just to look out into the audience and see me and see them in the future. My daughter was just accepted into the Key School, which is one of the best private schools in Maryland. You know, and yes, I'm living the American dream. I'm in debt. If this woman was in your office standing before you, and you was their parole and probation officer, would you be able to see me today? And I can do the snake. I'm not doing anything that nobody else can do. You can probably do even more. You go even further than me. Because as long as you believe, as long as you have breath in your body, that there is hope. As long as there's breath, there's hope.
There I was, getting worse, driving myself around in a hearse, doing things I knew would hurt, but I'd throw it in reverse, try to make it work. I'd tell myself, it's just one more hit and then I'm leaving. I just gotta forget what I'm needing. I just gotta forget why I'm bleeding. Under the bridge, sleeping alone, the sound of the cars felt like my home. I'd do what I could, I'd put on a show. Hiding the pain was my whole MO. My heart stopped beating so many times I almost thought I had 9 lives. I had a pulse, but it was faint. I kept beating, it kept going.